All praises to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and peace to every one of you for joining me on this program. This is the Fountain of Israel Bible Studies program, and as always, it's an honor and a privilege for me to stand before you on the Lord's holy Sabbath day. Shabbat Shalom, happy Sabbath. Thank you guys for joining. I'm going to pick up where we did last week. I'm going to be in chapter 4 of Genesis. And the reason I'm doing the walkthrough is pretty much for what I explained in the first lesson, where, sometimes we do a lot of topic lessons. Okay. I like to do topical lessons. And, we do here a little, there a little. And if you follow this ministry for any length of time, that's exactly what I do. I'll go all over the Bible for one particular topic, right? But sometimes we need to get the whole story and we need to get a deeper meaning. So I wanted to do some lessons that you just read straight through, right? So we're just going through the Bible. Now, obviously, I'm not going to just go through the Bible. I may, but I doubt I just go straight through the Bible like the rest of 2020, right? I may take a break and do a different type of lesson or whatever, just wherever the Spirit moves me. But for the time being, just going to be just reading through the Bible, right? Just reading through the Bible, and the very next week picking up again. And in this particular type of lesson, is not just reading through the Bible. It's going to be read through the Bible, read a chapter, okay, from the scriptures, and then read the same chapter from the King James with the Strongs, so that we can go ahead and get the meaning of particular words. Okay, so we can kind of get back and have an understanding, at least as close as we can possible, to the original authors and the people of that time. Okay, we want to see their understanding, or Moses' understanding in the case, of Genesis, and the contemporaries of that time. So we want to have that particular understanding. So that's why I'm going to do it this way, right? Forgive me if I mispronounce some words, but I'll do my very best to get it right. So before we get started, whoever is on the live stream, can you type in the comments 100 as a sound check that lets me know that you can hear me, and my mouth is not moving. My mouth is moving and you guys, and nothing's coming out. So okay, all right, thank you, Sister Coletta Blue. I just wanted to make sure everyone can hear me. Otherwise, I would have been reading chapters and chapters, and all of a sudden, nobody hears anything. So I like to do a sound check first, and I appreciate that. Chana Yawat, and I'm sorry if I didn't say that right. So I appreciate that. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Thank you. My bro 100. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so you guys can hear me. Great. So what we're going to do, I have I have the scriptures, right? I have the scriptures verse. So we're going to get it with more of the Hebrew words back in place. You guys know the scriptures Bible, they put the Hebrew words, a lot of them, they put them right back in place. But again, I'm reading from both. I'm going to read from the scriptures, and I'm going to read from the King James, with the Strongs. I want to get a deeper understanding of some stuff. So we're going to start in chapter 4, right? Chapter 1 of Bereshit, or Genesis, reading chapter 4, okay? So let's take a look real quick. Let's go ahead and get started. And Adam knew Hawa, his wife, Eve. And she conceived and bore Cain, and said, I have gained a man. And again she gave birth to his brother Habel, and Habel became a keeper of the sheep, and Cain became a tiller of the ground. And it came to be, in the course of time, that Cain brought an offering of the fruit of the ground to Yah. I'm just going to say Yah. I know it's the tetragrammaton, Yahweh. And Habel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat. And Yah looked at Habel and his offering. But he did not look at Cain and his offering, which Cain. And Cain was very wroth, and his face fell. And Yah said to Cain, why is thy wrath towards you? Why is he wrath towards you, and why is your face fallen? It is not of if you do good, you are to be accepted. Okay, is it not if you do good, you are to be accepted? And if you do not do good, towards the door is a sin. He is lying, and towards you is his desire, and you must rule over him. And Cain told Habel his brother, and it came to be when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Habel his brother and killed him. And Yah, or Yahweh, said to Cain, where is Habel your brother? And he said, I do not know. Am I my brother's guard? And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. And now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. If you till the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength to you. You shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth. And Cain said to Yahweh, my punishment is too great to bear. See, ye have driven me from the face of the ground today, and I am hidden from your face. I shall be a fugitive and a wanderer on the earth, and it shall be that anyone who finds me kills me. And Yah said to him, well, if anyone kills Cain, vengeance is taken on him sevenfold. And Yahweh set up a sign for Cain, lest anyone finding him strikes him. So Cain went out from the presence of Yah and dwelled in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Hanak. And he built a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Hanak. And to Hanak was born Arad. And Arad brought forth Mahuyael. And Mahuyael brought forth Methusael. And Methusael brought forth Lamech. And Lamech took for himself two wives, and the name of one was Adah, and the name of the second was Silah. And Adah bore Yabal. He was the father of those who dwell in tents with livestock. And his brother's name was Ubal. He was the father of all those who play the lyre and flute. As for Silah, she also bore Tubal Cain, and a smith of all kinds of tools, and bronze and iron, and the sister of Tubal Cain was Nehemah. And Lamech said to his wives, Adah and Silah, hear my voice. Wives of Lamech, listen to my words, for I have killed a man for wounding me, even a young man for hurting me. For Cain is avenged sevenfold, and Lamech 77-fold. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son, and called his name Sheth. For Elohim has appointed me another seed instead of Habal, because Cain had killed him. And to Sheth, to him also a son was born, and he called his name Enosh. Then it was begun to call on the name of Yahweh. Okay, so that's when they started to worship the Most High once again, right? So we're going to start looking through some, chapter 4, we're going to start looking through some scriptures. And so we're going to go to the King James with the Strongs, and we're going to look at some definition of some words, right? So we can get in there. All right. Shabbat Shalom, brother IP, to you and your house, and to all the heads of their houses. Shalom, J. Car 3. Appreciate it. Appreciate. Shalom, shalom, everybody. Shalom, shalom. All right. So we have Genesis 1, and now we're going to go from the Strongs and King James. Let's stop a call there. So anyway, this is what we have here. Okay, let's see, Genesis chapter 4. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of the sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of time came to pass that Cain brought the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect for Abel and to his offering. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect, and Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said to Cain, why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance falling? So let's look at countenance. Okay, so we can get an idea. Countenance is 6440. Okay. Let's see here. Panim. Okay, 6440 is part. 6440 is panim, and is face, faces, presence, persons, seraphim, cherubim. You know that face, surface of the ground. Okay, so why have your face before and behind, toward and front of for? Okay, in front of. Okay, so basically your countenance is basically your face. Okay. Okay, so Okay, verse 7. Okay, had to find my place, guys. Sorry. Verse 7. If thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? And if thou does not well, send light at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel, his brother. And it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which has opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto her her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from the face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. And the Lord said unto him, therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. So let's see what mark. Sometimes people want to know what some of these are. Some people say, well, what is that mark? So it's H226 in the Hebrew. Okay? A sign, signal, distinguishing mark, a banner, a remembrance, miraculous sign, a warning or omen, a token, an ensign, a standard, a miracle, a proof. Okay, so basically when they saw him at that time, I can't tell you exactly this is what the sign was, this is what it looks like. I can't say that because the scripture does not say, but it is a distinguished mark, meaning when you saw him you knew, right? So it's probably a mark nobody else had at the time, right? His mom, his dad, Seth after him, sisters, all that. Nobody else had this mark, right? So it was a distinguished mark that they'll know, okay, don't touch this guy, leave this guy alone, or else the wrath of God is going to come upon you, okay? So no one wanted to deal with the wrath of Yah. Okay. And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch. And he built a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son, Enoch. Okay, so right about here is people say, well, where did he get his wife from? And where did, what happened, this and that. Okay, there's a couple of school of thoughts out there. Okay, so we're supposed to be learning in this. There's a couple of school of thoughts. One of them suggests that there were other people already there, which of course would mean that Adam and Eve were not truly the first people. So that depends if you follow that school of thought. That's on you. Okay, so like I said, one school of thought is there's a lot of schools of thought. I can't go through all of them, right? But one is that there's a lot of other people. Another one is that Adam had another wife named Lilith. Okay, and she had another wife, he had kids or whatever. And at the end of the day, Cain and eventually Seth, they had babies, with their sisters, right? Because it was quite a while before they name another woman by name, after Eve. Another woman by name isn't even, for a little while. I mean, we got to it with after, I believe, what Lamech, got his wives and stuff, and they told their name. So it was a little while. But we do know the scripture says, that Eve is the mother of all the living, right? So either that is true or it's not. Okay, all the living. Of course, we're talking about humans, because you always get some sarcastic people and be like, well, what about animals? But so, wow. So anyway, those are the two schools of thoughts there, ladies and gentlemen. People, they follow their own imagination, and they go with what they want to believe. I'm not here to convince. I'm just here to present what's in front of us, go from use the definitions that we have before us, and we go from there. So that is going to be up to you guys. Okay. It's either you believe that, hey, they had perfect, Adam and Eve, that is, had perfect DNA, no genetic defects. They can have, children with no defects whatsoever, no such thing as a disease, no abnormalities, none of those type of things. So at the time you could be with, your sister and your brother, although I know some of us throw up a little bit in our mouth, and I get it. At the time you could, which later the law comes in and said, okay, there's enough people on the earth where you don't have to be with your sister. Okay. But it depends. Like I said, you may believe a completely different school of thought. What it is, it's aliens. It's another race of people. It's all. Hey, it's up to you. I'm not gonna argue with you. Okay. So that's what some people believe. So I'm just putting it out there. And of course, there's a few other school of thoughts, which we don't have time for that because the whole lesson will digress. Okay, so verse 18. And unto Enoch was born Arad, and Arad begat Mahujael, and Mahujael begat Methusael, and Methusael begat Lamech. Okay, and this is where you get the second set of women, with a name, right? And Lamech took unto him two wives. The name of the one was Adah, and the name of the other Zillah. And Adah bare Jabal, and he was the father of such which dwell in tents, and of such as have cattle. And he was like a homesteader already, right? And his brother's name was Jubal, and he was the father of all such as handled the harp and the organ. So he was a musician. And Zillah, she also bare Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Nehemiah. Okay, so this guy was like a smith. Okay, it's a metalsmith. Okay, 23. And Lamech said unto his wives, Adah and Zillah, hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech, hearken unto my speech, for I have slain a man to whom my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. Okay, so I dealt with the guy. I had to deal with somebody, and I ended up killing him. So if Cain shall be avenged sevenfold, truly Lamech 70 and sevenfold. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, and called his name Seth, for God, said she, has appointed me another seed instead of Abel, who Cain slew. Okay, so sorry. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his son Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. Okay, so this is where basically Adam gets another chance to bring up righteous seed, right? So Cain, we know he went the way of the wicked, and he slew his brother Abel, who was righteous. And all of a sudden they get another shot to bring up righteous seed, people who seek God. Okay, they get Seth, and Seth begins to have sons, and they begin to go ahead and call on the name of the Most High. Okay, they begin to do that, right? So now we are going to go to chapter 5. Okay, again, we going back and forth just so we can have meaning, and you hear a different version, because now your brain is working a little bit differently, right? You're starting to think a little bit differently about it, especially when we go back and get the original words. So that being said, let's jump into chapter 5. Okay, I'm going back to the scriptures in chapter 5, Genesis or Bereshit, chapter 5. This is the book of the genealogy of Adam in the day that Elohim created man. He made him in the likeness of Elohim. Male and female, he created them. And he blessed them and called their name Adam in the day they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and brought forth a son in his own likeness after his image, and called his name Sheth. And after he brought forth Sheth, the days of Adam were 800 years. 800 years. And he brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he lived 930 years. Adam lived to be 930 years. Okay, we have to remember that. Where are we? Sons and daughters, and he died. Verse 6. And Sheth lived 105 years and brought forth Enosh. And after he brought forth Enosh, Sheth lived 807 years and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. And Enosh lived 90 years and brought forth Canaan. And after he brought forth Canaan, Enosh lived 815 years and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. Now remember, these guys, these are long-lived people. They're like antediluvians. They're just long-lived people, right? These are our patriarchs, and they lived a long time. And remember, a man can have a baby can make babies, I should say, not have. A man can make a baby as long as he's alive. Okay, technically. So you can have a lot of kids in 900 years, 800 years. That's a lot. And Canaan lived 70 years and brought forth Mahalalel. After he brought forth Mahalalel, Canaan lived 840 years and brought forth sons and daughters. Again, sons and daughters, sons and daughters. All these kids, there's a lot of kids. Look how fast the world is starting to populate, right? So all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. And Mahalalel lived 65 years and brought forth Yared. And after he brought forth Yared, Mahalalel lived 830 years and brought forth sons and daughters again and again and again. Verse 17. So all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. And Yared lived 162 years and brought forth Hanak. And after he brought forth Hanak, Yared lived 800 years and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Yared were 962 years, and he died. And Hanak lived 65 years and brought forth Methuselah. And after he brought forth Methuselah, Hanak walked with Elohim 300 years and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Hanak were 365 years. And Hanak walked with Elohim, then he was no more, for Elohim took him. And Methuselah lived 187 years and brought forth Lamech. And after he brought forth Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. So Methuselah, the absolute oldest, person to live. And Lamech lived 182 years and brought forth a son and called his name Noah, saying, "This one does comfort us concerning our work and the toil of our hands because of the ground which Yah has cursed." And after he brought forth Noah, let us continue. After he brought forth Noah, Lamech lived 595 years and brought forth sons and daughters. So all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died, and Noah was 500 years old. And Noah brought forth Shem, Ham, and Yafet. And he brought forth Shem, Ham, and Yafet. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at that in the King James and pick out some keywords here and there. All right, so there's one other thing that I wanted to check out really quick before I get there. 1 second. I think it's right over here. Okay, so I have that. And one other thing, guys, bear with me just 1 second because I wanted to look at something else. Okay, here it is. All right, okay, I was just looking at something there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and continue, right, before we go to verse 6. Because it seems like we've been reading 3 chapters, so it's going to be averaging, depends on how long the chapters are, 3-4 chapters, okay, and get a deeper understanding. But let's look at it in the Bible that we're all more familiar with, which is fine, which is okay. So Genesis chapter 5:1, it said, "This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam, and in the day when they were created." Now, there's no way it should be difficult for us not to get understanding when we're reading the same chapter twice, 2 different translations. Okay, so that's why I want to enrich our understanding, right? Twice, 2 different translations, and we're looking behind words. Okay, verse 3. "And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness after his image, and called his name Sheth." Okay, Seth, right? So call him Seth. "And the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begot sons and daughters." Again, so we're talking sons and daughters, sons and daughters. Now it's sons and daughters. Okay. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. And Seth lived 105 years and begot Enos. And Seth lived after he begot Enos 807 years and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. And Enos lived 90 years and begot Canaan. And Enos lived after he begot Canaan 815 years and begat sons and daughters. So they're telling us that the age they attained before they had that particular child. And then the scripture goes on to tell us how many more years they lived after they had that particular child, right? So we saw that back and forth, right? And again, and it'll show us again as well. So it says, and Enoch lived, and he begat Canaan 815 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 905 years, and he died. Now look at this. And Canaan lived 70 years and begat Mahalalel. And Canaan lived after he begot Mahalalel 800. Okay, so he said 70 years. So he had Mahalalel at 70 years old, right? So by our standards, he's an old man having a child, right? So he's at 70 years old. Okay, he lived after he begat Mahalalel 840 years, and he begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. Okay. Mahalalel lived 65 years, and he begat Jared. So 65 years old, Mahalalel begat a son. He had a son. And then watch this. He says, and Mahalalel lived after he begat Jared 830 years and begat sons and daughters. Now, throughout that time, he had more sons, more daughters. But they're just talking about the first child. So he didn't have his first child until he was 65 years old. Okay. Now, a lot of that could be that these girls, certain girls had to become women, had to become of age, and then you can marry them at that time. Okay, but that's just you wait 65 years before you have a child. There's a reason for that, is what I'm saying. So you guys can figure whatever reason you would like to figure because of that. And all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. And Jared lived 162 years, so 162 years, and begat Enoch. And Jared lived after he begat Enoch 800 years and begat sons and daughters. And he got sons and daughters. Begat is Yalad, right? To bear, bring forth, beget, to gender, to travail, to bear, bring forth, of childbirth, okay? And of course, the women are the ones who had the babies, of course, but to cause or to help to bring forth. So he had them, okay? He fathered children, okay? All right, so we have that. And Enoch lived 65 years and begat Methuselah. And Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah 300 years. So Enoch did not create or have or bear seed and had Methuselah until 300 years, okay? And Enoch walked with, Enoch had Methuselah at 65 years. I'm sorry, it's the scripture right before that, at 65 years. And Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah 300 years, and he begat sons and daughters. So after that, he walked with God, or went with God 300 years. And in the meantime, he had sons and he had daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. All the days of Enoch was 365 years. That's all his days, okay? And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him, okay? Took is to translate, to transport, to move, like that. But traditional thinking said that he got taken up into heaven. He got taken there, and then said he was not. But everywhere else in the Bible, and I have a lesson on that. Look at the quick and the dead. The dead, where are they? Got a couple of lessons in there dealing with what happened with Enoch, right? Everywhere else where it says, and he was not, and he was not, and he was not. And I'm not talking about Enoch. I'm talking about any other person in the Bible where the phrase, and he was not, it means he died. That's what it means in the Bible. That's how they say someone died, just like if someone and so fell to sleep or laid to rest. Or it means that they died, and he was not. Do your research, look throughout the Bible, and look at everywhere where it says and he was not. And I'm not talking about just Enoch. I'm talking about anywhere. Look for that phrase and he was not. It was they died. They died. They died. That's what it means, okay? But I know traditional Christianity taught us, hey, you know what? The Lord took him and they went up to heaven, right? Obviously, there's scriptures out there that contradict that, okay? No man is in heaven, okay? Only the son of God that came down from heaven, things like that. So that kind of tears things up. Now, again, there's another school of thought that Enoch is walking around today. He is not in heaven. He is on the earth, walking around, doing his thing. Again, like I said, there's a lot of different schools of thoughts out there. It's up to you guys. I'm not here to even try to debate. It's whatever you believe. That's what you believe. All right. But I'm just trying to present it out there, letting you know that, yeah, I'm aware of some of the school of thoughts. I'm aware. Or if you never heard of it, you will now. Okay, you will now hear all these different doctrines. And the reason why I'm doing this, again, the reason I'm doing the lesson like we're doing it is because you want to be able to see where doctrines come from. Where do these teachings and where do these understandings come from? Okay, because at the end of the day, we will know for sure once the Messiah shows up. Once he shows up, all these questions are going to be answered, right? So there's no sense of backbiting and bickering and going back and forth and arguing with one another. Yeah, sure, you can sit down, you can reason with one another. My mailbox, I get emails all the time with someone saying, "Hey, brother, this and that," and it's usually a debate. You know, it's probably 1-2% of the time where someone really just have an honest question. They're not trying to debate at all. They just have like an honest to goodness question, and I respect that. I don't have a problem with that. I have no problem with reasoning out of the scripture. But what I don't want is some senseless debate if someone's trying to show me how smart they are. Okay. All right, I get it. There's nothing for us to talk about if you're already convinced in your own mind. What is there to talk about? What am I gonna say to change your mind? What am I gonna say? Okay, you're gonna say, well, I believe the scripture says means this, and then they're gonna go brrr, with a bunch of scriptures, right? That tells me you're convinced in your own mind. Then what are you doing? Then why are you asking me? You got it all figured out. All right. So, and again, I'm not upset. Like I said, I don't want someone to pretend like they have a question when really they want to bait you into an argument, into a debate. That's all I'm saying. I don't care. Just be upfront, be forthcoming. Hey, I believe you got it all wrong. I don't believe that way. Okay, no problem. My salvation does not depend on whether or not you believe me. Okay, my salvation depends on first me be a doer, not even me being a teacher, because I'm just a student of the word. Okay, this is not my salvation is not based on me being a teacher. It's based on me being a doer, trying to live out the scriptures, try to get as deep understanding as I can, try to study the word, pray, lead my household, things like that. Okay, debating and all that's not even important at all. Okay, my salvation isn't based on how many debates that I win. That it doesn't mean anything, right? So that's all I'm saying. So it's really not about that. That's what I don't know. That's just what Israel do. That's what we do. We backbite, we bicker, we fight, we argue. We flex our mental muscles, and we go from there. So, I'm not really too interested in that, but that's what a lot of people are interested in. Continuing on. Okay, like I said, over in verse 24, Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Let's look up took. Took is lakak. Okay, lakak. To take, get, fetch, lay hold of, seize, receive, acquire, buy, bring, marry, take a wife, snatch away. Okay, took, like when someone and so took a wife, right? That kind of thing. All right, so I gave you that. So God took him. And Methuselah lived 180 and 70 years old and begat Lamech. Methuselah lived after he begat Lamech 782 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Methuselah were 900 years and 969 years, and he died. And Lamech lived 182 years and begat a son. And he called his son Noah, saying, This same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands because of the ground which the Lord has cursed. Okay, so he already knew. Again, you raising up a son for a specific purpose, right? This is an idea. Okay, this is a quick aside. Sometimes, when we name our child something, the names have meaning. That's why the Lord calls certain people different things. That's why you see some parents in the Bible, they take one look at their child, they give them a name, and that name had a meaning. Also, there's a purpose. Also, look at the purpose right here where Lamech, he had Noah, and look at, he already bestowed a purpose on him. Okay, already bestowed that. In verse 29, he said, and he called his name Noah, saying, this same, so this very same child, this child right here, shall comfort us concerning our work and the toil of our hands, meaning he's going to take care of us, right? Because of the ground which the Lord has cursed. So he just says, so Noah is going to take care of us. So he already has a purpose right there. 30, and Lamech lived after he begat Noah 595 years and begat sons and daughter. And all the days of Lamech were 77 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japhet, right? So when you are naming your child, there should be a purpose in your heart for that child. When you name them, there's a purpose, there's a meaning behind the name, and there should be a purpose in your heart for that child. Okay, this is not the only time throughout the Bible someone named meant something, and then they had a particular purpose for them. I mean, Hannah prayed for Samuel, and she had a purpose saying that he's going to be a priest and a prophet. I'm going to dedicate him to the Most High. A purpose, right? And that's what we should all have. We should pray and have a purpose for our child. Now, whether or not when they become an adult, they stay on that, hey, you can't control that. You can't control that. Your job is to bring up righteous seed. You can't control what they're going to do after they are an adult, but you train up a child in a way that they should go. That's your job. So you do what you can and train them up in a way that they should go. So that's what one of the key takeaways I want you guys to get from that. Now, we're going to go on to chapter 7, if you will, over in the scriptures, okay? So chapter 7, all right? Now, and Yahweh said to Noah, come into the ark. Let's see here, 5. Oh, 6. I should go 6. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me back up. Chapter 6. And it came to pass when men began to increase on the face of the earth and daughters were born to them. Okay, so we're starting to multiply a lot now. That the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, that they were good, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. And Yahweh said, my spirit shall not strive with a man forever in his going astray. He is flesh, and the day shall be 120 years. Okay, because they were living a long time. Okay, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterwards. Okay, these are the giants. When the sons of Elohim came in to the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, those were the mighty men who were of old, the men of name or renown. And Yahweh saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And Yahweh was sorry that he had made man on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. And Yahweh said, I am going to wipe off man, whom I have created from the face of the ground, both man and beast, creeping creatures and birds of the heavens, for I am sorry that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of Yahweh. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, perfect in his generation. Noah walked with Elohim. And Noah walked with Elohim. Now remember that over there with Enoch. And he walked with God, right? But no problem. And Noah brought forth 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japhet. And the earth was corrupt before Elohim, and the earth was filled with violence. And Elohim looked upon the earth and saw that it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way on the earth. And Elohim said to Noah, the end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And see, and I am going to destroy them from the earth. Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and outside with a covering. And this is how you shall make it. The length of the ark is 300 cubits. Its width 50 cubits and its height 30 cubits. Make a window for the ark and complete it to a cubit from above. And set the door of the ark on its side. Make it with lower, second, and third decks. And see, I myself am bringing floodwaters on the earth to destroy all flesh, in which is the breath of life from under the heavens. All that is on the earth is to die. And I shall establish my covenant with you, and you shall come into the ark, you and your sons and your wife and your sons' wives with you. And all the living of all flesh, two of each, you are to bring into the ark, to keep them alive with you, a male and a female. Of the birds after their kind, and of the cattle after their kind, and of all creeping creatures of the ground after their kind. Two of each are to come to you, to keep them alive. As for you, take of all the food that is eaten and gather it to yourself, and it shall be food for you and for them. And Noah did according to all that Elohim commanded him. So he did. So he did everything that the Most High told him to do, right? So we're going to go to chapter 6, and we'll just pick out some words and meanings there, okay? So we have that. So we're going to read chapter 6, and we'll take a little pit stops here on some word definitions and anything else that will jump out at us, right? So, in the King James, brothers and sisters, if you will. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair. And they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. And we saw all the, in the other chapter, we saw how old everyone was getting, 800 and 900 years old, right? Which also coincides when he said over in Adam and Eve, when he said, you know, in the day that you eat thereof, you shall surely die, right? So some people don't understand a day. But when we go look at over in Peter, and I believe the Psalms, it says, you know, that a day is unto the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as a day. So no one lived past 1,000 years. Okay, so that part is still true. No one lived past 1,000 years. And remember, in some people, in some school of thoughts, we'll have 7,000 years, and we're coming upon that completion rapidly. 7,000 years on the point of the face of the earth, which means each 1,000 years is a day. Right, so we're in that last 1,000 years, okay, in that seventh day, and then you're gonna after that you have that 1,000-year millennial reign. Okay, so this is how a lot of people reckon that. All right, so now you have that, and so he said he's going to shorten the days to 120. Okay, so living to 120 years old, we've seen that. It's rare, but we've seen that in various countries. You look at some of the Guinness Book of Works, some of the oldest living people and stuff like that. I think I saw a guy like 124 years old, not alive right now, but starting to see people here and there, you know, live long lives. But that's okay. Some people they live way longer. So seeing somebody 115 isn't a big deal when we can see in the Bible people living 800 and 900 years old, right? So, verse 4, there were giants or Nephilim in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth. Now remember, man, we got free will, okay? So it's not like, and a lot of people, they get snarky or sarcastic, you know, and they're saying, well, if God knew that was going to happen, you know, well, why did he do it? If he knew that man was going to obey him and trespass, or disobey him and trespass and transgress, you know, why would he make them? Because of free will. For the same reason you create your sons or your daughters, and you know, before you create them, you know that they're going to break some of your rules, and yet you still have them. Yet you still have that child. The terrible twos or the rebellious teenage years and all that. Some of you guys already know. Some of you guys are listening to it. You're like, well, yeah. I mean, come on. You know You know, okay, I'm going to have, as a parent, I'm going to have some rules. And you know full well your child is not going to follow every single rule, and you still had them. Let's continue. And he said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in all his generations, and Noah walked with God. So he obeyed God, listened to his voice. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood, rooms shall thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make of it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. A window shalt thou make to the ark, in the cubic shalt thou finish it above. So a window just up high, right? Just up high. And the door of the ark shalt thou set in the side thereof, with lower, second, and third stories shall thou make. So it's going to be a 3-story ark. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh. Therein is the breath of life. From under the heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons, and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee. And of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shall thou bring into the ark to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female, of fowls after their kind, and of the cattle after their kind, and of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind. 2 of every sort shall come unto thee to keep them alive. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be food for thee and for them. Thus did Noah, according to all that God commanded him, so he did. Okay, so he got it done. God said it, he did it. It was no problem, right? So what we're gonna do, we just did 6, so we're gonna do 7, and then we'll be done for this lesson, right? So we're just gonna do 7 of our chapter 7 of our walkthrough in Bereshit, right? And it says that, and Yahweh. I'm looking right at the word, and Yahweh said to Noah, come into the ark, and ye and all your household, because I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. Of all the clean beasts, now let's look to the difference. At first, he was talking about 2. 2, and somehow in Christianity they got us stuck on 2, but don't have us on this other part here. Okay, I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation. Of all the clean beasts, take with you 7 pairs, a male and his female, and of the beasts that are unclean, 2, a male and a female. And of the birds of the heavens, 7 pairs, male and female, to keep offspring alive on the face of the earth. For after 7 more days, I am sending rain on the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and shall wipe from the face of the earth all that stand that I created. And Noah did according to all that Yahweh commanded him. Now Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters were on the earth. And Noah and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. And of the clean beasts, and of the beasts that are unclean, and of the birds, and of all that creep on the earth. 2 by 2, they went into the ark to Noah, male and female, as Elohim had commanded Noah. And it came to be after 7 days that the waters of the flood were on the earth, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd new moon, the 17th day of the new moon. On that day, all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and that's under the crust of the earth, broken up, and the windows of heavens were open. And the rains was on the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And on the same day, Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife and the 3 wives of his sons with them, went into the ark. They and every life form after its kind, and every beast after its kind, and every creeping creature that creepeth upon the earth after its kind, and every bird after its kind, every bird of every sort. And they went into the ark to Noah, 2 by 2, of all flesh, in which is the breath of life. So they get stuck up because they mention 2 by 2 more rather than a 7 by 7 of the clean. That's why we get stuck on the 2 by 2. And those going in, male and female of all flesh, went in as Elohim had commanded him, and Yahweh shut him in. And the flood was on the earth 40 days, and the waters increased and lifted up the ark, and it rose high above the earth. And remember, so high, you want to know how high? Because some mountains were underwater. That's how high it got, right? Everything had the flood. That's why when you go into the fossil record, you see sea creatures, fossils in mountains and stuff like that. Okay, so just saying. And the waters were mighty and greatly increased on the earth, and the ark moved about on the surface of the waters. And the waters were exceedingly mighty on the earth, and all the high mountains under all the heavens were covered. The waters became mighty, 15 cubits upward, and the mountains were covered. And all flesh died, the creeping creatures on the earth, birds and cattle and beasts, and every swarming creature that swarms on the earth, and all kind, all in whose nostril was the breath of the spirit of life. All that was on the dry land died. So he wiped off all that stand which were on the face of the ground, both man and beast, creeping creatures and birds of the heavens, and they were wiped off the earth. And only Noah was left, and those with him in the ark. And the waters were mighty on the earth 150 days. So the earth was submerged underwater 150 days. So we're going to look at the exact same chapter 7 in the King James, and then we'll be done. All right, so let's take a look. And the Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteousness before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female. So now we see that there was a difference between a clean animal and an unclean animal, and we are not in Leviticus, nowhere near Leviticus. Okay, so we know the dietary law is found in Leviticus, but we know there is a distinction drawn before Leviticus of what is clean and what is unclean. Besides that, after this whole flood thing is over and Noah goes to make a sacrifice, how would he know what type of sacrifice to make? Like which beast is acceptable? We have to think about that. So what was clean and unclean was established well before Leviticus. So people say, well, we're not under Levitical law. We're not under that dietary law. You're sadly mistaken. Okay. Oh, that was for Israel. Noah was not an Israelite. That was for the Jews. Noah was not a Jew. Well, that's a Hebrew thing. Noah wasn't a Hebrew. Let's continue. Verse 3, of fowls also of the air by sevens, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of the earth. And yet 7 days I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. And Noah did according unto all that the Lord commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of the waters was upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him, into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Of clean beasts and the beasts that are not clean, and of fowl, and of everything that creepeth upon the earth. There went into unto Noah into the ark the male and the female, as God had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were open. Okay, so we're talking about the crust of the earth. There wasn't a lot of, the oceans that we have now were not as it is. Let's see, fountains of the opened up, fountains of the Greek broken up, and the windows of heaven were open. That's verse 11. Verse 12. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. So it rained 40 days, 40 nights, 24/7. Rain, 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 40 days. Good gravy. And the self same Okay, and the self same day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japhet and the sons of Noah and Noah's wives and the three sons of and the wives of his sons into the ark with them into the ark, they and every beast of every kind and of the cattle of after their kind, every creeping thing to creep upon the face of the earth after its kind, and every fowl after its kind, every bird of every sort. And they went in unto Noah into the ark, two and two of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. And they that went in male and female of all flesh, as God has commanded him. And the Lord shut him in. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bare up the ark, and it was lift up above the earth. And the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail, and the mountains were covered, and the mountains was covered, and all flesh died that moved upon earth, both of fowl and cattle and beasts, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man, all in whose nostrils were the breath of life, all that was in the dry land died, and every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fowl of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. All right, guys, so we just did another 3 chapters. We read it from the scriptures version. We also read it from the King James versions with the Strongs to get a deeper understanding. My idea is to edify you and to give you clarity. That's really what I want. I want you to be edified. I want you to have clarity. Okay. I appreciate you guys joining me, and thank you for following along. I don't know. Let me see if there's anyone have any questions before we sign off. Okay, let's see here. 1 second. Okay, so let me just say hi to a couple of people there. Okay. Shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom. Coletta Blue. Chana Yawatz, thank you. Thank you. My bro, appreciate it. Shabbat shalom. Lisi, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Curtis Young, shalom, shalom. Appreciate that. Trice Jones, Shabbat shalom. Awesome, awesome. J-Car 3 saying shalom to you again. Blessings to you and your household. Okay. Trisha T, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Okay. Esperante. Oh, this thing is going out here now. Sorry. Esperante to God. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. My bro. Again. Dedum 31. Shabbat shalom. Okay. Daughters of the Most High. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. And by hearing by, thank you. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Appreciate that. Let's see if there's anything. All right. Let's see here. Dizzy 911. Hallelujah. Shabbat shalom. Israelites for repentance. Shalom, shalom. I appreciate all you guys joining me. Maurice Ragsdale, thank you. Thank you. Shalom, shalom, Maurice Ragsdale. Anyway, I wanted to go ahead and jump in there and do this lesson. I mean, again, it wasn't a complicated lesson or anything like that. It was just a kind of lesson that says, okay, you know what? Let's get back to basics. Let's just walk through. Let's get a clear understanding. Let's do a different translation. Let's look behind some words. Let's get a deep understanding, so no one can fool us. If everything was destroyed, okay. So no one can fool us, right? So, daughter of the Most High, she said, if everything was destroyed during the flood, I would assume she's probably typing more because that's not a complete thought there. But yeah, most things were destroyed during the flood, okay? Obviously, nothing on the ark was destroyed. None of the animals of the 7x7, the clean animals, the unclean animals, but everything else on the outside, that was destroyed. So, with that, guys, I'm going to have you guys enjoy the rest of your Shabbat. Get some rest. Praise the Most High. Love on each other. Learn together. Continue to grow. read my question before. Okay, let me go back to the other side. Oh, when the Bible says that there were giants on the earth and after, where did they come from? Okay, a lot of people say that. Sorry, a lot of people say that these were angels. That, you know, they said they were angels, so they came from heaven. So they were fallen angels. That's the popular thought right there. That they were fallen angels. That's where they come from. So I would suspect if there's some already on the earth and they got drowned out, but after Noah and his sons and their families start to repopulate and all that other stuff, then I guess they return. You know, some more angels came down or whatever, fallen ones came down, and then there they go. You know, there they go. They start again. So that is the popular consensus. All right. So I hope someone has been edified by this lesson. Again, thank you guys for spending just some time, spending this last hour with me on the Shabbat. Trying to just get a little bit of a understanding. I appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, and I hope someone has been edified. Until next time, search the scriptures, and prove all things.